Warm greetings from the High 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans on this early Monday morning, April 6, 2020. I'd like to bring you said information pertaining to the coronavirus, and this is stemming out of Michigan. And if you need verification for the storyline, please log on to the Detroit Free Press. Why coronavirus is running rampant in Michigan prisons. I'm going to scroll down a bit because it's a very lengthy article and I'm going to have to skim over it because it is so very long. But I want to bring you information pertaining to an inmate who has died in this correctional facility. Okay. The first Michigan prisoner to die and later test positive for COVID-19, Parnell prisoner Joe Kearney, 55, never told healthcare he was feeling sick or was having symptoms before he was found unresponsive in his cell and rushed to the hospital, God said. Kearney, who was serving time for a home invasion in Washtenaw County, died Wednesday. The Free Press was not immediate to reach his family. A message was sent to all prisoners this week urging them to notify healthcare if they are sick, he said. A $5 copay. Prisoners are normally charged as being waived for anything related to the coronavirus, he said. This is a life and death situation, being put in quarantine for a short period of time. It is a small price to pay if it means saving your life or that of someone around you. On Friday, Governor Gretchen Whitmer issued an executive order that said anyone who tests positive for COVID-19 or who displays a symptom such as fever or an unusual cough or shortness of breath should stay home and can't be punished for not going to work. However, prison workers were exempted from that order. Whitmer's office did not respond to an email message asking why. Prisoners say they feel like sitting ducks waiting for the coronavirus to overtake them. Parnell prisoner John Mannion said he tested positive for COVID-19 on Tuesday after another prisoner in his cube was earlier confirmed to have the virus. After his cube mate tested positive, Mannion was quarantined with other potentially exposed inmates in another part of the prison. Prior to his diagnosis, after his test came back positive, the department moved him to a housing unit at the neighboring 1,800-bed G. Robert Cotton Correctional Facility, where he said he is isolated with about 80 others who have the virus. The building housing them, which is separate from the rest of the prison, has mostly two-man cells with a few single-man cells. Then it goes on to tell you of other inmates and their journey during this period with the COVID virus. But I also want to give you said information to what is plaguing this the prison system, why they're having problems. Because as I said, it's a long article, and I'm just skimming over because it's so much to read, but you can verify it yourself. Inadequate screening of prison employees. Several officers across the system say the no-touch thermometers used to screen them when they arrive to work give wildly varying and inaccurate readings. At the Thumb Correctional Facility in Lapeer, officers are crowded into a small lobby as they wait to have their temperatures taken, said Corrections Officer Lorana Valaga. She just learned a prison employee who was taking their temperatures has tested positive for COVID-19, but she and other officers he screened will not be tested or sent home because prison officials say they were not in close contact with him for a 30-minute time period. Lack of testing. Officers say if they are experiencing mild symptoms, they can only go to the community to seek testing, where they are no more prioritized or successful in getting tested than anyone else. For prisoners to get tested, they must be showing severe symptoms, officers say. Prisoners hiding symptoms. The lack of testing is compounded by the fact many prisoners hide symptoms of possible COVID-19 because they don't want to be removed from their cells, lose privileges such as phone calls and emails, and be placed in quarantine with other prisoners who very likely are sick. If I were to report symptoms, they would make all 8 of us in my little cube pack up, Sherwood said. This pisses everyone off as well as all run the risk of being disconnected with our loved ones. Ongoing transfers. Prisoners continue to be transferred from one prison to another, even if they have tested positive for COVID-19 or have bunked with someone who has. Particularly concerning to many prison employees and prisoners is the fact that many prisoners from around the state who test positive for the virus are being moved to one unit at G. Robert Cotton Correctional Facility near Jackson, which as of Friday morning still had no positive cases of its own. Ongoing classes and other programs. With schools shut down across Michigan since March 13th, prison teachers and officers expressed anger and frustration at the fact classes and other group programs continued at most Michigan prisons. Prison officials say they want to keep prisoners active and calm while preparing them for parole as quickly as possible, and they have cut class sizes in half to increase social distancing. Lack of personal protective equipment. The department recently made it mandatory for all staff and prisoners to wear face masks at all times, but the masks hand sewn by prisoners from the polyester material used to make prison uniforms are flimsy, hot, and hard to breathe through. Valaga and other officers say it's not clear how much protection they give, and until recently, officers were prohibited from bringing their own masks, such as the N95s, to work. Lack of cleaning. Though prison officials say, they have stepped up prison cleaning and are allowing prisoners to use bleach, which has in the past been banned as a potential hazard that could be thrown at officers. Prisoners say they still lack sufficient cleaning supplies, and the bleach made available to them is too watered down to be effective. As of Saturday, there were 206 COVID-19 cases in 9 Michigan prisons, which is more than double the 92 cases on Tuesday. Macomb Correctional Facility in Lenox Township had the second most cases with 46, followed by Lakeland Correctional Facility in Coldwater with 25, and Women's Huron Valley Correctional Facility near Ypsilanti with 24. There were also 47 cases among Corrections Department employees as of Friday. One of those employees, Damon Burton, an officer at the Detroit Reentry Center, died from the coronavirus on Tuesday. The department announced Saturday that a second employee, a word processing assistant at the Lazar District Probation Officer in Detroit, has died of complications of COVID-19. And it goes on, but that's the point of the story is that they're having issues. And what I don't understand is, first of all, inmates not reporting that they're sick because they don't want to lose their phone privileges and other privileges. You want to die in there? God forbid you don't have a life sentence. You're only in there a couple of years. Why would you want to die in there from the COVID-19? Your chances are worse because you're in there and you're not coming out and you can't move about and you can't be 6 feet from another inmate. So to not report it is crazy. So if you're an inmate in any prison, please let these people know that you're not well. The fact they had to pay a $5 co-fee for their medical expenses, I thought that was odd. I've never heard of that because I'm thinking to myself, where are they going to get the money? Everybody doesn't get money on their books. So you will still suffer if you don't have $5 in your commissary to pay for a doctor's visit. Very interesting. The fact that they made those other workers come to work even after one of the employees tested positive that was testing them on a machine. And to give them a flim-flam excuse, oh, well, he wasn't standing that close to you. Well, okay, so what you saying? The machine and the person operating the machine was what? 6 feet away from the employees? And you still expect them to come to work? Then you're bartering with them about their pay and sick leave. 1 minute is $75 per day. Then there's still information in the article that states they'll have to stay out probably at least, 2 weeks? The bantering back and forth. I think that's foul. Make up your mind. You're either going to pay those workers for being out if they are sick or test positive, or you're not. And it's foul if you don't, because they are doing a hard job even when Corona did not exist. Outsiders brought that virus inside, just like in the nursing homes, just like in the hospitals. Nursing homes, we already know most of those people do not leave the facility because they don't have the means to leave, or they're not capable of leaving, let me say that, because they're sickly. Assisted living, some of those people, naturally, they're still moving their mobile. They go on trips, they leave the facility to go places. But like a prison, we already know they're not leaving there to go anywhere. They're put there till they are released to society or paroled. So outsiders brought the virus into the prison. The workers, the teachers, the staff, and the fact that they still want to hold classes. That's crazy. So you're still wanting the workers to work, even though they've been exposed to an employee who tested positive. You're still holding classes in the prison and talking about only 6 to a room, which is ignorant and stupid. Possibly they're going to release some, perhaps, from prison. I don't know. I haven't heard much talk about it. But that would be good if a person is nearing parole, go on and let them out so you can die down your population while you can. Because even though we have this deadly virus, we still have people out here stupidly committing crimes, don't give a damn, and obviously they want to be in there with them. Because this is what's amazing to me is that these people are out here still committing crimes, hurting, harming, murdering people, shooting people, and we have a deadly virus already trying to knock us off. And here you all are still don't care anything about yourself, don't care anything about others, and you're exacting crimes when we already have a deadly virus, rolling the dice to see which one it's going to take out. Peter, Paul, Dick, Susie, Mary, you get my drift? This is sad. But this is what happens with closed quarters and people who can't move about. Those people in prison are doomed. The people working there are doomed. Because that's going to spread so fast. Being inside and there's no ventilation, there's no moving around. And the people outside have access to the germs and the viruses. And they're bringing them, taking them back to the prisons. 100. The people who were visiting, family members, friends, bringing them to the prison. You see, they didn't stop till the 13th of March. So you got to count up until that whole time. All the influx of infected people entering the country up until March. And they are going by people who go visit people in prison. That's how it works. This virus is a entity and it needs a host, and they don't mind who it is, and it's going to invade whomever it wants to invade. Tall, short, fat, black, white, Korean, Asian, whatever you are. She don't mind. I'm praying for all. But as you see, I see this being a serious epidemic in the prisons because it has nothing to do but jump. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, round and round in a circle. That's all it's going to do. So if some of you guys are in there, ladies, maybe they'll be kind enough to let some of you out who are nearing your time to get out of there. Either flatten your time and or parole. Hopefully you'll get out of there because this virus is already doing her thing in this country and abroad. Nursing homes, regular people, civilians, children, pets now, a tiger at the Bronx Zoo. I mean, it just goes on and on. So I'm not understanding. I tell you what I'm baffled by is the testing situation. Do hospitals have adequate testing? Do they have enough tests administered to people? The fact that people are getting turned away to go home to self-quarantine, and then later the people are going back to the hospital because they become deathly ill, and then soon end up dying in the hospital because they end up on a ventilator because they can't breathe. And then some survive. So as I stated, it's a roll of the dice. And this is a terrible way to go out. Because to me, suffering is suffering. I don't care what it is. Nobody deserves to suffer. You know? I guess depending on what you've done in life. But you understand what I'm saying. This is just terrible. This is just really, really terrible. And as you see, the prison system, Michigan's having a problem. And I would assume this problem is going to affect other jails and prisons. And as I stated in the video I made earlier the other day, Knox County is letting out people who have misdemeanors in jail. It's just so they can keep the population down in the county jail. So that was a good thing, I guess, for some. You know, will the people abide and try to redeem themselves and change their lives? I don't know. But the point is, God made it possible for you to get out of there because of a virus. The best thing you should think of doing is sitting your tail down somewhere when you get out of there and go to court when it's time. If you got to do court costs or what, pay them. If not, if it's just your time's flat and they let you out, sit your tail on down somewhere and rest and stay out of trouble. Because see, I feel like this virus in some wicked way, it may be a blessing to some, such as early release from prison, early release from jail, putting off your court hearings, might buy you some time. Judge might be lenient depending on the crime if it's a misdemeanor. The next time you appear in court, coronavirus just might give you some freedom that you probably don't damn deserve, but you understand what I'm saying. So Corona is the flip of the coin. Some good, some bad. Mostly bad because it's taking lives. People, friends, family, children, uncles, aunts, grandmothers, grandparents. You understand what I'm saying. Wicked, wicked. But as far as the inmates not wanting to reveal their symptoms, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to check out of here. Don't die in that prison a fool. Don't worry about phone calls, your privileges. Because you see, a dead man tells no tales. And a dead man can't talk on the phone. And a dead man can't have visitors. And a dead man can't have commissary. So only a fool will lie up in there with those symptoms, worrying about being moved. Courtships, you're in prison. Think. If you got family, worry about seeing them on the outside one day. Worry about those on the inside, because they ain't going nowhere. Worry about living. Worry about living and surviving till you can come out to the outside. Do yourself a favor and focus on living while you're in that prison. Let them people know you're sick. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below. Thanks for joining me on this early morning in the high 10. And I hope you all have a blessed week, a safe week. Please wear your mask, your gloves, keep your distance. Don't go out if you don't have to. Don't visit people. Don't partake in any foolishness because you want to live. You should want to live. Thanks for joining me. Stay safe, America and abroad. God bless you. And this is Everyday Shenanigans. Bye-bye.